And you're warming up through the neck. Not forcing the movement, just find that range of movement that your neck's happy with. Last one. And then ear to shoulder, so little side neck stretch. And taking our time in the stretch, same the other way. Not forcing it, just letting the head drop to one side. Rolling up, same the other side. Last one each way. We draw the head up, we bring our hands to the shoulders, draw a circle with the elbows. Continue that mobilising of the shoulders. And then a nice big arm circle. We're going to take a step a little wider. We're going to do just a nice flowing rotation, so we want the arms nice and loose. We'll start small, just a little gentle swing round. When you're happy, we can pivot through one foot and come all the way round and then back. So make sure you've got, when I'm not into anything, so you swing round. The hips can move. We're going to be kind of working through that release work, so it's good to get a little bit of movement just going, particularly if it's first in the morning. Yeah, last one then. So we're going to use our rolls, and we're going to bring them underneath the heels, so go careful. You aren't going to fall. So standing nice and tall, there'll be a little bit of weight on our balls. Nice long spine, and we're just going to start with a little knee bend. So shoulders drawn down the back, centre set, bending the knees, hinging at the hips, and squatting that as low as we can go. We want to keep the knees and the hips roughly level, so we don't want the hips to drop underneath the knees, and then lift back up nice and tall. You should be able to get much lower, now the heels are lifted, than you would if the feet are flat on the floor. We're using our centre, of course, to keep the spine nice and long and lengthened. We'll do one more, and we're going to add to it, so we're going to create a little bit of a sequence. Lovely. So we're going to take the arms up. We're going to bend the knees and sweep back with the arms. And then lengthen the legs there. Try and get a nice stretch through the hamstrings. Bend the knees forward, sweep the arms forward, and lengthen all the way back up, nice and tall. So bend, sweep back. Stretch the legs long, keep reaching. Sweep through and lengthen all the way back up again. A few more. Lovely. connection with shoulders, centre, helping to support and balance us. Making sure we don't head plant into the floor. Good, looking nice. The last one. Right. Well, we're standing on the walls. We'll do a little bit of roll down work. We'll do our balance afterwards. So we'll start with the heels on the balls, and we'll do 2, 3 with the heels on the ball, and then we'll shift to the balls of the feet on the balls and try a roll down from there as well. So we're standing nice and tall, like centre set, and then bringing the hip forward into the chest and rolling down through each vertebrae nice and slowly. And I get that movement through each vertebrae and that good flexion of the spine all the way down through into the lower back before we hinge through the hips and come forward. Hold for that breath or two in the stretch, and then drawing back up through each vertebrae nice and slowly until we're all the way back up, nice and tall. So another 1 or 2 standing on the walls that way, and then we'll swap our position. Good, so balls and feet on the board is going to feel very different. So we've got the heels on the floor, and we've already got pretty strong calf stretch for a lot of us once we've got the balls and feet on the ball. What's your balance? So you're going to need to use centre to be able to stand nice and tall, and then we're going to head forward, chin to the chest, and rolling down through each vertebrae. Still trying to keep the hips over the ankles. Rolling forward, moving forward. Strong stretch. Hold for a breath or 2. Do an obvious now. And then rolling back up through each vertebrae until we're all the way back up, nice and tall. So trying a couple more there. And last one. And once we've got the balls on the floor, we can have a little roll out of the feet. So you can go the length of the foot, you can go side to side a little. Just one foot. 8 breaths or so, and then we'll swap sides. It's a nice bit for today.
That's lovely.
Same on the other foot once you're ready.
There's more tickly on that fruit.
Yeah,
It's weird.
so the little spikes are quite nice actually. We'll do a little bit of balance work before we come down to the mat. We'll leave the balls to one side. Balancing with the balls underneath would be very tricky. We're standing nice and tall across centre, gently connected. We're going to bring one foot to rest onto the side of our standing leg. So keep lengthening, and if you're able to, see whether you can lift the foot a little higher, keeping the hips nice and square to the front, so we don't want to end up rotating round. And then once we're there, we're going to see whether we can add a few kicks out. And then replace, and the same the other side. So we're coming into that little sort of tree balance on the sides of the leg. Even if the foot is resting down, lightly touching the floor still, you're still getting good balance work, and you can still add that kick low out to the floor, where our aim is to work that little bit of stability in the hips by keeping the hips forward. If you balance it off today and you're struggling with the balance, just keep it low to the floor. Have a go there. A couple more each side. Good, with the nose. So we're going to come on to our backs to start with, and we're going to have the balls just under the feet one more time. So we're going to just move the ball to the ball of the foot, have the heels just balance into the mat, and that little bit closer into the sit bones than we normally would. We're going to do a little bit of bridge to get us started. So spine's nice and long and lengthened. Find that mid position for the pelvis again. We've got the gap between the lower spine and the mat. Back of the ribs nicely in contact with the mat at the moment. and the shoulders nice and open. Relax the arms at the side, open the shoulders by turning the palms up towards the ceiling. And then as we breathe out, tuck and tilt the pelvis, flatten the lower back into the mat, and curl up through each vertebrae, one at a time. So we're trying for the balls not to move away from us. Try not to put any extra pressure on them. Come up to the shoulders. Hold for our breath. And then draw it back down through each vertebrae with nice control until we're all the way back down through the spine. Have a little reset. And we'll do one more like that before there's an option to add more if you want to. You can, as always, keep going with that option throughout if you prefer. Have to add in more. So a fairly standard bridge. The only difference is we've got the feet resting a little bit differently. We'll add a little bit of feedback from the walls, of course. Try not to put any extra pressure there on the balls. So if you want to add, we're going to add a little roll away on one side, still keeping the hips nice and level. So we're going to come up into the bridge as we've just been doing. So coming up through each vertebrae nice and slowly into our bridge, and then keeping the hips nice and level. We're going to shift the weight across to one side, and we're going to roll and stretch. One leg out, roll back again. You can roll down at this point, where if you feel that you're able to, you can swap sides. Take it out on the other side, roll it back in, and then roll down through each vertebrae again with nice control on the final leg breath until we're all the way back into a neutral spine again. Reset if you need to between each movements. We're there for a few breaths. So we'll do about 6 more bridges. So you can do a few options there really. You can do the standard bridge without the leg slide. You can add just a leg slide on one side and come down if you feel that that's enough to hold in one go, or you can do the slide on one side then the other and then roll down. The key is we keep our height in our bridge, so the glutes are working hard, and we keep nice and level through the hips, so we're not allowing one side to drop too low as we draw out of the leg. So keeping a little check on those points as we work our way through. looking nice. As we finish our last bridge, let's just do one little mini bridge to pop the balls just underneath the pelvis. We'll rest in our weight onto the balls. We'll take the arms out nice and wide. We're just going to let one knee and then drop out towards the side as far as we can without the opposite knee or foot moving. And then on the in-breath, hold, and that out-breath, draw back up towards the ceiling again. Same the other side. So we're rolling onto the ball. We've got a little bit of release for the hip going on. So the same stability we would have with this move if we were doing it without balls underneath us. The knee just gently dropping out to that point just before the opposite hip wants to follow around. Knee foot on the other side, staying nice and steady. We'll do about 5 more each side. Out breath as we take it over, in breath as we hold, out breath as we come back. We're working our pelvic stability and we're got that hip release work with the balls underneath the pelvis, as well as obviously our hip mobility being worked. Good, nice. The muscles working, stabilizing the pelvis, keeping that pelvis nice and steady. We'll do a few as we get to the end of our set there. We'll do a few just picking the foot up on one side, so we don't want to come too high, so we don't want to float the foot all the way up to the knees over the hip, but just a little on weight and then a shift to that knee out to the side, still keeping the other one nice and still. So we'll have that a little bit more weight on the ball. And then the same the other side, so a little lift of the foot, and then a shift out, across the knee. Same stability we had with both feet on the mat. And again, we'll just do a few more each side to finish off that set. Good. So finish our evenly both sides. We're gonna just bring the balls out from underneath us, and they're gonna come in just below the tips of the shoulder blades. And bring the hands behind the head with the elbows nice and wide open to support the head. So neutral spine still, so we've lifted ourselves up a little, so there will be a bit of space between the back and the mat, and so we want the pelvis still in a neutral mid position and the ribs down, so we've got that nice long support the spine still. We can let the head relax back, and we're going back as far as we're happy, our back's happy to go, so don't force it. And we're trying to keep the ribs from over flaring up towards the ceiling as we take ourselves over the balls. And then as we breathe out, lift up and look towards the mid-thigh. So we've got that little mini curl up here. And then, but we're not taking the weight off the balls at all. Back over again. In breath there. Out breath left. In breath hold again. Out breath over. And we'll do 5 more. That feels pretty hard. Sure to be doing some good. Good, looking nice. Elbows nice and wide. Just supporting the head. Lots of core work with this one, of course. So as well as you'll feel that release into the thoracic area of the spine, that rib cage area, with the balls where they are, you should feel that work, pressure, release, whatever you want to identify it as, happening. We're then going to take it into a little bit of oblique work. So with the elbow still nice and wide and the ball still in the same position, so just below the tips of the shoulder blades. You don't want them on the kind of bony areas of the actual shoulder blade itself. We're going to take one arm and reach it up towards the ceiling. We're going to cross and reach diagonally across to one side. And we're going to pulse there, so 5 little pulses on the in-breath, and then reach back towards the ceiling. Take that arm overhead, lift, and cross back, 5 little pulses. And breath back, We're going to come back to this side in a minute, but one more, and then we'll swap sides. Do the same on the other side, so we've done about 5 little repetitions on that side. So same on the other side, we're going to take that hand behind the head that we've been using as our reaching arm, and bring that other arm up towards the ceiling, lifting and crossing rib cage to hip, into that oblique twist. Got a little pulsing action on the in-breath for 5, keeping the hips nice and level, and then releasing back over. Reach back before we lift back up towards the ceiling, and then come over again on the next out breath. In breath, pulse. Out breath, return and reach. Again, lots of core work with this one. So we've got lots of work into the obliques this time, of course. We're going to go into a circle action for our next set of 5. So again, we've got one arm reaching. This time we're going to reach diagonally across and then round overhead to bring it back, and then reach diagonally across, circle, and back to our next one. So again, 5 each side. Making sure we're keeping our centre, taking lots of core work. Good. Good, good. Swapping sides. Once you get to about 5, same on the other side.
Lovely adopted. Hideous.
We're going to bring, while we're on our backs, we'll release the shoulder a little, so we're going to bring the ball up to the top of the shoulder. So fleshy sort of area at the top of the shoulder.
Oh, gee. Just one or both?
Let's do both at the same time. Just a good measure.
Double pain.
Double pain, twice as quick.
Get it over with.
Get over it. So we've got that little bit of pressure onto the balls, of course. We're just going to take the arms and lift them overhead and back down to the hips. And then take them out into a Y shape, so out diagonally away from us. Ooh, I've got our space. Ah, nice. Last one. We're going to come onto our front. So we're going to do a little bit of a hip flexor release sequence for our next. What was that? So we're bringing one ball only. We don't need the other one into the crease of the hip. So if you if you bend the knee, you'll find that crease of the hip. That's where we want the ball as we come onto our front. So just you can keep the other leg straight, or you can bend it out to the side a little. We're just going to let the body just rest onto the ball for a moment to get it started. Yeah. So making sure that the tailbone's long towards the bottom of the mat, so we've got the spine in neutral and we're not taking tension into the lower back, so our centre is still working to help us with that. We're going to start just with a little lift and lower, so we're just going to lengthen the leg that's resting on the ball and just hover that leg, reaching it away and then release it back down onto the mat. So just lift and lower. Right, breath up. In, breath down. About 8 more, so about 10. Once we get to 10, we've got 8 more with a knee bend. So we're gonna out breath, lift and bend and bring the heel up towards the glutes, lengthen the leg, and then release back, leg back down on the in breath. So out breath up and kick. In breath, lengthen and release back down. Still keeping the tailbone long, so we're not taking that tension into the lower back. That little bit of glute work now as well. That knee bend, but you won't be feeling that. So we're then going to add a little pulsing movement with the knee bend. So we're going to lengthen and bend, and then just pulse up to the ceiling for 6. Let the knee rest down, and we're just going to do a little windscreen wiper movement with the like just going side to side in that knee bent position. And then we're going to lift the knee, and it's the knee that moves out and inwards. And then on our next day, we're just going to extend the legs, so we'll just reach out at an angle and bend. Stretch and bend out at that angle. As we bend this time, take the knee on the inward, and it's just a lengthen of the leg and a pulse on the inside angle. Legs nice and long. About six, and then bend. And we're just going to bring the knee down and semicircle around the leg. So in both directions. Last one. We'll bring the ball out from underneath us. Have a little feel the difference between one side of the pelvis, one leg and the other one. You should feel there's a difference of how the body is sort of lying on the mat now. One side will feel quite different than the other. So of course we need to do the same on the other side. So we're now going to find that crease and hip again for the other side. Just make sure you've got the right position, bend the knee, find that crease area, and then come over onto your front and rest down. Taking the tailbone long, and just take a moment to relax onto the ball. Keep our centre and that tailbone long. We then started that leg extend and lift of the leg. Nice straight leg, just lifting and lowering for 10. No knee bend at the moment, just nice straight leg, reaching out, lifting and lowering. Good. We then had the knee bend for 8, following the 10 lift and lower. So we lifted and then bent the knee, bring the foot towards the glutes, lengthen the leg and release back down. So 8. Still keeping the tailbone long, so tailbone down towards the heels, centre gently connected. Got that little bit of glute activity there. Good. To get to 8, we had a lift, a knee bend, and then a pulse up towards the ceiling for around about 6 little pulses. We let the knee drop down after that, and we took the legs side to side, so a little windscreen wiper type action. We'll put to one side, away from us, cross our midline. And we picked up the knee and we did rotation, taking the knee out and the knee inwards as well. So similar action to what we've done with the foot, but it's the knee and the hip that's doing the moving now. Inward, outward movement. Find the spot there, Andrew. And then we have outward movement and that extend and bend the leg there. Knees away from us, and so we've got a little stretch out diagonally away. Extend the leg. One more, and then we took the knee inwards, lengthen the leg, and pulsed there. So long leg lifting and lowering. So around about 6 again. Knee rest down, and we've got that little semicircle action going both ways. So last one each way, nice and even, semicircle movement there, and just again remove the ball from underneath the hip, and hopefully things feel more balanced again. From there we're going to press back onto the heels, stretch forward. And then draw up from there into our all fours position. Do a little bit of cat curling here. So without the balls now for a moment, tucking the tailbone down, rolling the spine, getting that nice curved shape. The back should be released of lots of tensions that maybe there at the start of the class, so we should get a nice arch now, hopefully. Take the hips halfway back and lengthen the back from there. So pull into the hands a little bit, draw down with the shoulder blades down the back, really connect those back muscles, and then lift the head and lift the tailbone. Get that little bit of extension, lengthen again, nice long back, tuck the toes under, and lift, and come into our inverted V shape. Big breath there, so there. And then come forward with the knees. So we'll just do a couple more of those cat curls. So flatten the feet, tuck the tailbone down, roll the spine. Have a nicer curve than we sometimes have. Fingers crossed. Hold there for the in-breath, let the hips move back a little. Lengthen the spine, draw into the hands, pull down with the shoulder blades. Connect those back muscles. And then take it into extension. Lift the head and lift the tailbone. Back into a long spine. Put the toes under and lift the hips high. The heels down. Shoulders still nicely connected. The breath in there. We come back down. One more. Nice. That, Jenny?
It's not too bad, is it?
No, it's good. Fab, we're going to bring the balls behind the back of the knees. And sit down towards the heels.
Oh,
And then we're just going to go side to side with the hips.
Oh, you were joking. Chance. No, my calves are too big. That's horrible.
That's actually a really good one.
It's horrible. And this is good for
Calves.
calves. Okay.
Can you not feel that?
It's horrible.
And then you just keep moving it down.
I can't do it if you really want to.
There's a nice calf massage.
Nice.
We'll finish with a little bit of glute release. We only need one ball for this one. I'm going to sit on it. And resting out to the side. So the side that we're sitting on, we've got the knee bent. We're just going to put up, let the knee move out to the side. Movement. And then we can have a little roll on ball. Use your hands to take the weight you need to. Glutes across. And then we'll do the other side now. I'm going to swap over. So you start with a little, just rock over to the knee, in with an outward. Oops. And we can have that little roll. Last little circle around, and we'll come to stand. So no need to stretch today because we've done that release work instead. We will do a roll down to have a little compare from when we started though. So stand nice and tall, centre connected, and just bring the head forward into the chest and roll down through each vertebrae. So we've sort of released the upper and lower body, not thoroughly through every muscle, but you should feel there's a good difference. Ooh, there is for me. My hands are much closer to the floor. Take a breath or two, and then roll back up through each vertebrae, nice and tall. Roll back of the shoulders 2-3 times as you come up. And then turn the palms forward, take a big breath in. As we breathe out, that big stretch out. In breath, reach and stretch. So we have worked our core muscles, not as intensely as we would with an intense kind of class where we're working our stability that a little bit more. And then circle back out. But we have done strengthening work for the core muscles as well as lots of release work today. Well done, everyone. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Cheers.